everyone and welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be discussing my worst books of 2022. So, typical disclaimer, these are my worst books, not the worst books. You might like them, please don't be offended, blah 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 blah. You know the drill. Everyone has an opinion, and this is mine, and mine are of course right. I'm only kidding, please don't. So, usually I do a top 10, bottom 10 of the year, but I don't have 10. I have 5. Actually, plus 1 DNF I'll talk about, I suppose, while I'm here. So I have 1 1-star, I have 3 2-stars, and I have 1 2.5 star. And even the 2.5 star, I kind of feel bad putting in here because like 2.5 is literally equal things like and dislike. So it feels kind of mean to put a 2.5 in here, but 5 is a nice number. And I'll also talk a little bit about my 1 DNF, which, oh my god, can you believe it? I DNF'd a book, guys. Like, that doesn't happen, but I did. So I suppose I'll talk about that first. So my 1 DNF of the year was The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. And I will say, I didn't dislike this book. It's just, I was reading it during my slump. I started it. I got, I would say maybe a third of the way through it, at least, if not more. And then my library hold ran out. I did actually go and get it again. But then by time I finally got it again, months had passed. And I had forgotten everything that happened, and I did not want to start it again. That is literally the only reason why. Like, I liked it so far. Obviously, like, I don't know what the twist would have been, so like that could have made me really like it or dislike it. But like, from where I was, it was like sitting at a 3-star. So like, it was okay. But I was pretty early on into it, so I can't really judge too heavily. The books that I actually finished, and I will go these from like the best worst book to the worst book. We'll have my 2.5 star, and that is The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. Please don't kill me. Please don't hurt me. Please don't be mad at me. So in this world, a big part of it is that the wheel is ever turning, and things that happened once will come around and happen again. And right now, they think that like the cycle has kind of begun again, and this magical person has been reborn. Pretty early on, we find out that it's going to be one of these 4 characters that we've met, and they're kind of traveling to try and stop this evil force, the 4 of them. That is a very bad synopsis of it, but I read it in January, and I swear I cannot remember a single thing about this book. Like, I really can't. Because we were talking about this in the Shadow of What Was Lost live show, because they were like, oh my god, there's a lot of similarities between the two. Like, he very clearly, was inspired by The Eye of the World. And I was like, there was? Like, I genuinely could not remember. And they were giving like examples. They were like, yeah, so this thing. And I was like, that happened? Like, I genuinely cannot remember it. And like, I wasn't skimming. I was like, really concentrating while reading this book, and it just left my brain. I don't know what it is about it that I cannot remember a single thing. So that makes it a bit difficult to talk about what I liked and didn't like about it. Basically, I was kind of just bored, is the bottom line. And while I was like going through kind of planning for this video, I kind of was thinking, because like this, and like I read the first book of the Fellowship of the Ring, and I also found that really boring, and I think I also gave that a 2 or 2.5. Because like, I can see the merit in them. I'm like, yes, this is like, it's not poorly written. The characters are not badly written or undeveloped. Like, they get development. There's lots of different relationships going on between people. So like, there's nothing about them that is poorly written. I will say, number 1, I don't like over description. I mean, what I consider over description. Lots of people are like, this is the perfect amount of description. I find it way too wordy. And that's a common theme with the 2 of them. And then I was kind of thinking, I was like, yeah, and then there's a lot of walking in them. There's just like so much description, and I just kind of got bored. And then I kind of stopped myself, and I was like, hold on a minute, I'm basically describing a Robin Hobb book as well. I'm like, what is it about Robin Hobb, kind of that classic fantasy style, that I like that I don't get with like The Wheel of Time or The Lord of the Rings? And so I was like genuinely thinking about this last night. Just bedtime thoughts, as you do. And I think it is because I was really attached to Fitz. Like, I don't think there was a problem with any of the characters in like The Fellowship of the Ring or The Eye of the World. I don't know why I keep bringing in The Fellowship of the Ring. I read that last year. But I think it's because there's a lot of similarities between the two. I think that's why I keep bringing it up. But I think it's because I was so connected to Fitz from the very first book. Like, I loved him. I wanted to protect him. Maybe it's because of the fact he started younger, so like you really feel sympathetic towards him. Because Robin Hobb's actor work is impeccable. And then I think the other reason is because the court politics of like Buckkeep in the Farseer trilogy, I was obsessed with them. Whereas with this one, like, I think I can see like glimpses into like kind of more political things, especially in like the magic side. Like, as I said, I don't really remember a lot, but I do remember that there was something funky going on there. And so that would probably come in later books, and I imagine I'd be more interested then. So I think that's why, like, despite the fact Robin Hobb also has a lot of walking, and, you know, it's not like a super, like, it takes a while for the magic system to be developed, and there's like a lot of description. Like, I think that's the reason why I was able to like get past all that, because I had other stuff that I was really intrigued about. Whereas with this book, I needed more to keep me going. Will I continue the series? I keep saying I will, but it's been a year and I haven't. So I know Sandra is doing a read-along for it, and I do want to participate, but I don't want to read the first book again. I think I might try and find like a really detailed summary of it online, because I mean, it's such a well-loved series, so someone definitely has done that. So I'll try and find that one of those online and then just read from the second book, and hope for the best. We're into our 2-star reads. So this next one was supposed to be in a video. I have not filmed that video. I mean, I have not finished that video. I still have the footage. So I'm like, do I want to talk about it this long? Because I had a whole video about it. But anyway, it's Desperate Measures by Katie Robert. Just don't question it. Because like, you are all like, why would you read that? That is not your thing. Why would you read that? Yeah. Why would I read it? Well, I would have to finish the video for you to know why I read it. But I was going to say this is simply a case of just not for me. But no, there was actually something that really annoyed me in the plot. And that's why it was so low, because I was gonna give it like a 3 stars, because like, it did not do anything for me. I just, no. Also, I didn't tell you what this is about. So this book is about dark Disney retellings. So in this one, it is Jasmine and Jafar. And so Jasmine is the daughter of like this like gang leader almost, and Jafar is his right-hand man, and like from the start of the book we find out that Jafar has killed Jasmine's father, and there's like but there's been like something going on between the two of them, but like not really. Not for me. No. Number one, like the whole age gap thing and the Danny, and that definitely not for me. I can't really tell you whether or not it's well done erotica, because I haven't read any others. So yeah, so I can't really tell you whether or not it's good. I've seen a lot of people say that it is, but she is like one of the best at writing this stuff. So like, I'll say it was, yeah. But so obviously I rate on enjoyment, and obviously I did not enjoy the relationship. I very rarely read romance books, but when I do read a romance, I want there to be fluff and stuff. So like, straight up smut is not for me. Like, I like a bit of like fluff and, you know, sweet and all of that. Like, so I already knew that this was like not gonna be for me, but you know, give it a try. You never know, you might be surprised. But I would have given it probably a 3 stars just to be like nice about it, except for the fact there's something at the end of the book that really annoyed me, because it made no sense to the entire plot. And I obviously can't say it because it would be spoilers, but it just came out of nowhere. And like, I would have liked where the story went if there had been more development, but it was a novella, so we didn't get that development. So it was just, the character was doing this and was this kind of way, and then 100 pages later, with no development in between, the character was now this person, and they were doing this, and they were a completely different personality. And I was like, And like, that's what I'm saying. It's like, I wouldn't have minded that ending if we'd actually seen the development, but we didn't. There was no development of the character. It was just like, different person. My next 2-star read is from Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. So, I read this for my reading fantasy romance reading vlog. I will leave that link down below because, spoiler alert, the next book was also in that video. And so this book, I feel like I do not need to give a synopsis of this book because everyone has read it. Our main character, Poppy, she's the maiden, she's never to be touched or looked at and all of that, but she sneaks out and she, you know, goes to bars and all of this, and she knows how to fight because she's a badass. And then she meets a guy and, you know, things start to get steamy, and then I think she has to leave or he has to leave, and then like pretty soon she gets a new bodyguard and it turns out to be Hawk, the guy from like the bar. I was gonna give this a 3-star as well. And again, until the ending, roughly, maybe 2/3 in, which I will say, was it Cassidy or was it Lizzie that I told? I think it might have been Cassidy, that I sent her a message and I was like, I swear to God, if this thing, insert trope, happens, I will throw my phone, because I was listening to the audiobook, across the room. The thing did happen and I was mad. I was so mad. It was so predictable and I hate it. It's one of my least favorite tropes of all time. I despise it. Here's the thing. Number one, it is not well written. It is not well written, but it is quick and it is fun. And then that stupid plot twist happened. And then I was mad. I can look past a lot of books if I am having fun. So like, that's what I was doing with From Blood and Ash. I was like, okay, this is not going to get higher than a 3-star probably, but it is, I'm reading it super quick and I'm having a great time. And like, I didn't really like Poppy and Hawk's relationship. I especially didn't like Hawk because he never listened to Poppy. She'd be like, oh, please don't do that. And he would do it anyway. And like, I'm not talking about like, you know, smutty times, but it's still icky when she's like, oh, please don't, you know, do that. And he keeps doing it anyway. Like, it's icky. Yeah. And so then the end of the book happens. The last 2/3, I despised Hawk. Number one, so like the plot twist happens and then more stuff is happening in the plot. I also, another positive was I did enjoy the magic system. Like, I was intrigued. I was intrigued about the world building, and then I hated it. The last 1/3 of the book, I would say roughly, I absolutely despised. I hated Hawk with a passion. I hated their relationship and I wanted to, like, yeah, I just wanted to throw my phone across the room. So yeah, did not enjoy it. And so the next one, again, another one I read in the fantasy romance reading vlog, is Fortune of Sworn by KJ Sutton. I also hated this book. Oh my god. So basically we have Fortuna. She is a nightmare, the last of her kind. Her brother went missing years ago and she still wants to find him all these years later, and then this mysterious man shows up and is like, hey, I can bring you to your brother if you marry me. And she's like, okay, you know, as you do. And yeah, and then she, like, there's this whole trials thing that she has to go through, and they were the most boring trials, all about it. The tone for the book was set pretty early on when within the first couple of pages there was a huge error, and I was like, well, it's self-published, just take a deep breath and keep going on. But it kept happening again and again and again. And I know, you know, a self-published book, you're not going to be able to, you know, editors are expensive and all of that. So like, I know, but when they are so constant, it gets annoying. Very annoying. Then Fortuna, I genuinely cannot remember a single thing about her character. I didn't like our main love interest. I was intrigued by another character who I do know becomes a love interest later on. And I'm like for a second I was like, do I want to continue? And I was like, no, you don't. You gave this 2 stars. So there was like one character that I was like slightly interested in, and I enjoyed the reveal around that character. But yeah, our main 2 characters, did not care. As I said, there is like this whole trials thing. I couldn't tell you one trial that she actually did at this point, and they were just, seemed so easy. Like, that's all I can say, is that they seemed so easy. I was just so incredibly bored this entire time. Like, it was one of the most boring books I've ever read. And also, like, I felt no chemistry between the characters. I didn't care whether or not they got together. I didn't care whether or not Fortuna passed her test, though I didn't doubt for a second she would, because they seemed extremely easy. So yeah. Also, I did ask Lizzie, who has continued the series, oh, what happens in the next books? And yeah, I'm really glad I didn't continue, because I would hate it. Then, one last book to talk about, my least favorite book of the entire year. Can you guess? I bet you can. Actually, you mightn't be able to, because I haven't technically talked about this book on my channel. But I have talked about it elsewhere, because it's Call of the Bone Ships by R.J. Parker, the second book in the Tide Child trilogy. And I read this, the Backlist book club, which is Cassidy's book club. I hate this book with a burning passion. Like, rage. This is, and also I will say, I will leave the live show link down below, so you can see my full feelings. Because honestly, I'm gonna tell you right now, I do not remember a single thing that happened in this book. Maybe that's because nothing happened in this book. I do think I gave this 2 stars in the live show, but yeah, I've changed it since then. Like, I'd say like a week or so after I finished it, I was like, no, this cannot be a 2 star. Like, this is a 1 star. So my 1 star of the read year was a book club pick. This series, it's set on the ocean, so we follow, oh my god, what's his name? Joran? I think it's Joran. And in the first book, he was the captain of this bone ship, and then this woman comes along and is like, yeah, no, I'm taking your ship from you. And he's like, okay. And so he basically becomes like the right-hand man. And then supposedly they do stuff. But do they actually do stuff? Like, supposedly they're supposed to be like helping stop a war or something, but like, where? Like, from the synopsis, I was like, okay, there's gonna be like political, and there's gonna be like, you know, magic ships, and it's like, interesting. None of that happens. It is just him describing every little thing that happens on the ship. Just every single thing. In great detail. Too much detail, some might say. I would say. I really cannot remember a lot about this book. I did not enjoy the writing. That was one of my biggest complaints with the first book. And it continued on through the second book. I cannot stand his writing style. I did not care about a single character. Well, except for one. I liked one character. The world building was so poorly done. Supposedly there's like this whole weird ecosystem that not a single person in the entire live show, so like hosts are people participating, noticed. Yet supposedly it's a weird, unique ecosystem. I was like, where? I was like, especially for book club picks, I'm so careful about what I'm reading. I'm like, every single word. No. My worst book of the year. Yay! Also, because we actually never even finished this series, because Mel and Cassidy hated the ending, and I simply did not read it. So, yeah. So we didn't even do a live show for the third book. We just gave up, which, fair. So yes, so those were my 5 worst books of the year, plus my 1 DNF. So yes, so tell me down below what was your worst book of the year. I'm really intrigued to find out, but if it's one of my favorites, no, it's not. So thank you guys so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.